There's a version of you that gave up on something. Maybe it was a goal. Maybe it was a version of yourself you used to believe in. And somewhere along the way, you stopped opening the curtains, literally or not. This is a story about a man who had no hope, no belief, and no goal left. Not a story about a miracle. Not a story about someone who found motivation one random morning. It's a story about one small motion, the kind so small it's almost embarrassing to talk about, and how that one motion quietly became the difference between who he was and who he became. If you've ever felt like there's no point in starting anything, stay for this one. It might be about you more than you think. Kareem hadn't opened the curtains in 6 days. Not because he was busy. Not because he was sick. Because there was nothing on the other side of that curtain that mattered anymore. Not the sun, not the street, not the version of himself people used to know. He lay in bed and let the ceiling become the only landscape he needed. Cracks, water stains, a spider's abandoned web in the corner. He knew every inch of it now. It asked nothing of him. It never disappointed him. It never reminded him of what he used to want. He used to have plans. A real list, written in blue ink in a notebook that now sat buried under old receipts and a coffee mug he hadn't washed in a week. Learn guitar. Apply for the design job. Call Amina back. Start running again. He remembered writing that list. He remembered who he was when he wrote it, a person who believed tomorrow was worth preparing for. That person felt like a stranger now, someone he'd read about once instead of someone he used to be. Every morning followed the same quiet ritual of defeat. He'd open his eyes, and before his feet even touched the floor, the weight would settle onto his chest, heavy, familiar, almost comforting in its predictability. And then the same 4 words would arrive, unbidden, like clockwork. What's the point? Not even a question anymore. A conclusion he'd already reached 100 times before. Why bother starting something when starting had never once protected him from ending up right back here, staring at the same ceiling, carrying the same weight? His phone sat face down on the nightstand, untouched for most of the day. Messages piled up unread, not because he didn't see them, but because responding required a version of energy he no longer had access to. Amina had texted twice that week. Hey, haven't heard from you. You good? He'd read it. He hadn't answered. What was he supposed to say? No, I'm not good, I don't know how to be good, and I don't know if good is even a place I still know how to get to. That wasn't a text you sent. So he sent nothing. On the 7th day, something small and almost embarrassing happened. His phone buzzed with a notification from an app he'd forgotten he ever installed. Some habit tracker he'd downloaded during a burst of optimism months ago, back when he still believed structure could save him. The screen lit up with a message so plain it was almost insulting. You haven't checked in today. That's okay. Just open the curtains. He stared at it. No motivational quote. No demand to change his life. Just, open the curtains. An instruction so small it didn't require hope, didn't require belief, didn't require him to think about guitars or job applications or Amina at all. It asked for one motion of one arm. He almost ignored it, the way he'd ignored everything else that week. But some tiny, stubborn thread inside him, the part that hadn't fully surrendered, the part hiding somewhere underneath all the what's the point, pulled him upright. He walked to the window. He opened the curtains. Light hit the room like it had been waiting all week for permission to get in. He squinted, genuinely startled by how bright an ordinary Tuesday could be. He didn't feel transformed. He didn't feel healed. He felt exactly the same tired, hollowed-out version of himself he'd felt for weeks. Except for one thing. He had done one action that yesterday's version of him hadn't done. That was it. That was the entire victory. No trumpets. No before and after. Just a boy standing in front of an open window, blinking at sunlight, having proven nothing except that his hands still worked when he asked them to. He didn't know it yet, but that was the exact moment the pattern began to crack. The next day, he didn't touch the notebook. But he made his bed, badly, lopsided, one corner still hanging loose. It didn't matter. It wasn't about the bed. It was about proving, again, in some small physical way, that he could still choose. The day after that, he didn't call Amina. But he stepped outside for 4 minutes, stood on the sidewalk, felt the air on his face, and went back in. 4 minutes. That was all he could manage. He didn't punish himself for its smallness. He just let it count. This is the part no one shows you in movies, the part where change doesn't look like change at all. It looks like nothing. It looks like a man standing outside for 4 minutes, achieving what appears to be absolutely nothing, while somewhere underneath, A new identity is being built one brick at a time, invisible even to the person laying them. By the second week, he opened the notebook. He didn't write anything new. He just read the old list, and instead of feeling grief, he felt something closer to curiosity. Who was I when I wrote this? Could I be him again? Not exactly, but some updated version of him? He didn't call Amina that week either. But he replied to her text. 4 words, rough patch. Getting better. It wasn't the whole truth. But it wasn't a lie either. It was a bridge, small, wobbly, but load-bearing. By the 3rd week, something shifted that he couldn't fully explain even to himself. The morning still arrived heavy. The 4 words still showed up sometimes, what's the point, but they no longer arrived as a conclusion. They arrived as a question he'd already decided not to fully believe. He'd hear it, acknowledge it the way you'd acknowledge a loud neighbor, and then get up anyway. He started running again, not far, not fast, just around the block, lungs burning, legs unused to the effort. He hated every second of the first run. He did it again the next day anyway. He opened his laptop and looked at the design job listing. It was still there, still open, still asking for a portfolio he hadn't touched in months. He didn't apply that day. But he opened an old project file and looked at it without flinching. Small. Load-bearing. 3 months later, Karim stood in a small conference room in front of 5 strangers, presenting a design he'd rebuilt from nothing, the very job he once thought was pointless to even apply for. His hands trembled slightly as he clicked to the next slide. His voice cracked once, early on, and he let it crack, because pretending otherwise would have taken more energy than he had to spare. Nobody in that room knew about the 6 days he hadn't opened his curtains. Nobody knew about the ceiling, the cracks, the 4 minutes on the sidewalk that had once felt like a marathon. To them, he was simply a candidate presenting a portfolio. But he knew. He knew every quiet, unglamorous choice that had built the person standing in that room, not one dramatic breakthrough, but hundreds of small, boring, repeated decisions to do the thing his old self wouldn't have done. He got the job 3 days later. That night, he sat by his window, curtains open, the way they'd been for months now, and he thought about that first notification. Just open the curtains. Such a small thing to ask of someone who had nothing left. And yet it turned out to be exactly enough, because it didn't ask him to believe in the future. It only asked him to move one arm, one time, in the present. He didn't become a different person by finding sudden motivation. He became a different person by refusing, one small action at a time, to keep being the person from yesterday. The notebook still sits on his desk. The list still isn't finished. But underneath "Call Amina back," there's a new line, written in the same blue ink. Some days, getting up is the whole goal. That's allowed to be enough. So here's the question worth sitting with, the same one that found him on a Tuesday when he had nothing left to give. What's the one curtain you haven't opened yet, and what's the smallest possible motion it would take to open it today? Karim didn't change because life got easier. He changed because he stopped waiting to feel ready, and started doing the smallest possible version of the thing, over and over, until the small things became a different person. No dramatic before and after. No overnight transformation. Just curtains, then a bed, then 4 minutes outside, then a life. So before you close this, don't ask yourself how do I fix everything? Ask the smaller question. What's the one curtain you haven't opened yet? Go open it. Today. That's the whole story, and now it's yours to finish. If this moved something in you, don't just scroll past it, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you want to see what the curtain becomes for someone else, stay close. This isn't the last story like this one.